It's a regular show.
Oh.
But I wanted to talk about New Year.
Oh, okay.
Because especially since it's, 10 days away.
Here's what I got confused about. You said you were working on this best
Yes,
of.
that's for Christmas.
That's for next week?
That comes out to Monday.
See, I didn't understand that.
Yeah.
I thought, because I don't listen well. I don't know if you know this, but I don't listen well. And I should listen.
No, I didn't know that.
I'm trying to, I swear to God. This is going to be the big fight.
No.
Come on, why not? The big New Year's Eve fight. I'm done, Josh. I'm done. You want a thought spiral? Why don't you shove your thought spiral up your ass?
Happy New Year!
Happy New Year, everybody. Oh, I can't believe we made it.
I know. That was a horrible year.
Did you watch the shows last night? They were so great. Anderson Cooper and Andy Cohen.
I know. It's as if they were always there.
They were meant to be together in many ways.
Right.
I like Andy Cohen. I used to not like Andy Cohen because I didn't like Bravo. I was like all on my high horse about the Bravo shows.
Yeah, except for the ones you watch.
And I watch them all.
Right.
But I don't watch Vanderpump Rules.
No, that's for losers.
Yeah. That's it. How'd you know that my friends and I make fun of the people who watch the versions of the show that we don't like?
Yeah.
Can I ask you a question? You can cut this out. You cannot cut this. Are you really going to pretend that it's January? You want me to? It's not January 1st, man. I can't be living to your lies.
I
baby.
don't care if you pretend. I'm just saying that it's we're recording this in advance.
Oh, you want to hear how I celebrated midnight last night?
No, because you've already broken the illusion. You don't get the indulgence of pretending it was midnight.
You know what?
Unless you celebrated midnight on December 19th, then I don't care.
I'm going to take it again, and this time I'm going to pretend it's New Year's Day. Is that the hardest thing in the world? Is that too much to ask to have a little bit of magic?
There's no more disbelief. It's all...
Okay.
All right.
Happy New Year. What a night.
No, I don't care.
Oh.
I'm not playing along.
Oh, God.
You
Josh, you are loaded for bear.
Are you, did you work on New Year's Eve?
Oh, God. See? Yeah, last night. And here's the thing. I have worked what's that?
That's a Tasmanian dog. Oh, no, it's my dog.
Oh, you have dogs?
Yeah.
I'm the guy who doesn't know things.
You didn't know I had a pool last week, so it's not that
I still don't know that you have a pool. Okay. It could be one of your Ashton Kutcher. I don't see a lot of the movers and shakers from Hollywood come here in the summer and take a dip in your pool. I have never seen Ashton Kutcher. I like to call him
because you're
Ashton
never
Kutcher.
invited at the same time.
Are you really that way? You have separate friends?
Oh, God. I wall a lot of people
Do you
off
really
from
wall
you.
on him?
Yeah.
Who would you be afraid of me being around? You know who's my best friend now? Who seems to retweet me like a madman?
Who's that?
Josh Mankiewicz. Does he retweet you 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 times a day?
He retweets me a lot.
God
actually.
damn it.
I had dinner with him and others on Sunday night.
Is this in the real world?
This is in the real world.
You had a second meal?
I did in a week with Josh Mankiewicz.
That's not fair. Why did that happen?
Because it was Mark Thompson's birthday.
Okay.
And,
so
that's who I met Josh Mankiewicz through. Also, Ben Mankiewicz was there.
They are brothers?
Jennifer Tilly was there.
Are you saying that Josh Mankiewicz and Ben Mankiewicz...
Kevin Pollak was there.
Kevin Pollak? Why wasn't I there?
That kind of answers itself, doesn't it? Go back to the earlier conversation
that really hurt.
about the walls.
That hurts, Josh. It hurts. And I noticed that you know, just because I liked your hat doesn't mean it has to be a regular. Is this going to be it now? It's going to be Pete Seeger meets Woody Guthrie? What if Pete Seeger and Woody Guthrie had a child that was a hat? How come no one's ever done that bit? I'm half like this. Hey, I know what you're thinking. Pete Seeger, who else wore hats? Prince? Pete Seeger. Okay. Who else wore hats? God damn it. Come up with someone. It's not Bruce Springsteen. It's like Pete Seeger and Lester Young had a child. Right?
Pete Seeger and Tevye.
And Tevye.
Yeah.
You didn't know my Lester Young reference?
No.
He's a very famous, I forget what he played, but he wore a pork pie hat.
This is not anything like a pork pie hat.
No, that's what I'm saying. My suggestion to you as a comedy bit is that you go on stage with a hat.
Wait, let me type
All right.
this.
And the hat goes, I know what you people are thinking. It's like, I can't think of people that wear hats. I swear to God, there's been a lot of annoying sounds I've heard in my life.
Yeah.
Nothing more annoying than your keyboard sound. It's terrible. It's not inviting.
It wasn't really trying
What are you,
to.
Michael
I
Wins?
actually meant it to be slightly alienating.
It is. What do you
Okay,
meant
good.
it to be? Are you Michael Winslow? See how I do it?
Yeah.
Boom. Shout out to Michael Winslow. And then he didn't even ask me for a shout out. Shout out to Yakov Smirnov. He follows me if it is him.
Yeah, he follows me too.
Why do you have to one up? Not just one up me, but one up me. First of all, I think we're one sidewaysing each other.
In Russia,
In Russia,
you follow
people-
Yakov Smirnov.
Yes, Josh. Josh was so delighted by the joke he couldn't even get through
I
it.
wasn't. I knew it was there. It was just sitting there as a eternal template.
Well, okay, so now
So it's New Year's.
it's New Year's. Now here's the thing. I had to make one New Year's Eve resolution.
Yeah.
Find out something good there's nothing good to watch on New Year's Eve. And yet every year, and I don't blame these people. They're trying their best.
Right.
I do blame them.
Why are you counting on broadcast television
Because
for your
I
needs
feel
at
like
this point?
I hate most holidays now. I don't hate them, but I love Christmas.
Right.
I love like Valentine. I mean, I love certain. I don't know why I love Valentine's Day. I don't mind them, but then certain ones I've never gotten the hang of.
Right.
Like New Year's Eve. I think when I was 14, I loved it because I got drunk in the house.
Right.
But it's never been I don't even know if it's advertised as fun, but it always seems terrible to me.
It's the worst holiday.
Yeah.
It's dumb.
Hey.
You know, it's not dumb to observe
it.
the new year happening, but it's a setup.
Yeah.
It's a huge setup.
How's it end? It ends every way the same year.
Yeah.
Every year. 7, 4, 3. Hey, should we turn on TV? Hey, let's get the real count.
If I wanted to sit around drinking, watching the clock to hit a certain time, I'd get a teaching job.
I didn't know what you were winding up for. But all of a sudden, you came to life with delight.
Yes, that's how I work.
The groove is in the heart. That's
And
delight.
delight.
Deep, doobo, doobo, doobo. Susan does not like that group. I can't argue with her.
When's the last time that argument came up?
For some reason, like, we pretty
Are
much.
we having another delight fight, honey? This is ridiculous. Next thing you're going to throw CNC Music Factory in my face.
I don't even know what was Get Me one of their songs.
Everybody dance now.
Do beep 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 beep. Woo! Woo! Everybody here tonight must boogie. And you know what, Josh? You are no exception to the rule. You do a good one, right?
This
Like that?
is like so much better than Anderson and Andy in Times Square.
It's because we're in a good mood. Those guys are depressed. Right. But you do that when we're like, you know, the guitar sound. Boom, 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 boom. I like any of those songs, whether it's The Temptations, whether it's Sly and the Family Stone, or anybody else does where they go, I'm gonna ha hoo hoo, and he, and then they go, I've got a deep voice, 'cause I sing all down here. Boom, boom. I love that. Or play it for me, bass man.
Papa was a rolling stone.
Bop, bop, bop.
Wherever he laid his hat was his home. And when he died.
Oh, this is my. You
And
might do a
that
slide
ain't
into
right.
key.
I was trying to get to the low part.
Oh,
and that ain't right.
That ain't right.
Yeah.
Mama, oh, daddy was never walked, never see, and that you know that it's right.
And that ain't right.
Okay, if you think we're being racist, please
But that was
call.
not racist.
We were not being racist, but there's always a danger of a white person drifting into an impression of a black person, and I know yours is like, oh man, river. So I know that's Drickles. The black guy's going, oh man, river.
Exactly.
I would like to find. So New Year's Eve is a terrible holiday. When I played it in clubs, it was terrible.
Right.
And I have actually. It sounds like a bit, but they handed out the noisemakers before midnight.
Yeah, it's just awful because everyone's watching the clock. They're worried they're going to miss. You have, from about 11:30 on,
It's over.
you've lost them.
They don't like my new
Yeah.
chunk.
And then you have to stop and do the ring in the new year. And then if you still have time left, you're totally
That
screwed.
is the worst idea. They should wrap up that goddamn show. What else was in the news? What else am I talking about?
I did last New Year's Eve. I actually, my friend Joseph Scrimshaw did a show at Nerd Mouths.
Isn't he a famous person? You're saying somebody's name, they sound like a celebrity.
No, it's just my friend Joseph Scrimshaw.
I know him.
Yes, he's very famous.
Don't I follow him?
Why would I belittle him?
What's that?
Why would I belittle him? He's incredibly famous.
Why are you belittling him?
I don't know.
Oh, what is he famous for?
Him?
I don't like when you do that. That's always a winner for me.
I know, me too.
Are you still annoyed at me for not knowing what the show was at the beginning? That's all I'm thinking about now. Is I've annoyed you.
I'm not at all.
And here's how I know.
I'm in the groove now.
I annoyed you once.
Groove is in the heart.
Yeah. Doom, doom, boom. See, Susan and I, we part company usually late at night, and I go out to a strip club. We part company when it comes to certain fields of music. Like, for example, I hesitate to say this, but I liked disco in its place. I love Donna Summers. I love the Saturday Night Fever soundtrack.
Right.
I don't like that it took over all of music, but I did like some of the beats.
Right.
She doesn't. She likes some Donna Summers, but she's not generally a disco fan, and she doesn't like Delight. Right. Didn't you tell me?
There must be a lot of hand slapping of the radio in the car.
You told me. You called me earlier today, New Year's Day, January 1st, Friday, Tuesday, Monday. Happy Tuesday. Hey, Happy New Year, or as it's known in the Kindler household, Monday. Do you do any joke, or have you done any joke that is along the nature or along the lines of, and we call that Wednesday?
I've done it. Sure, I've done it.
I've also done this joke, which I don't think I could ever do.
Or
again.
as Jews call it.
Right.
Right.
Thursday.
Right.
The bank. I've also done this joke, but I hope not to do it again. And, yes, I went down to the mayor's office today, and, the drink, and the drinking, and anyway, whatever it is, and that was the mayor. I don't know, somehow you switcheroo that you think you're talking about the one guy, but you're actually talking about the other person, so it's funny.
Huh, okay.
And then, I'm not even talking about what the mayor did.
Right.
I went down to the mayor's office.
That's a Mad Lib joke, really. You can pretty much.
I sometimes feel in the dark of night that all my jokes are Mad Lib jokes.
Yeah.
Because what am I trying to prove?
Banana.
I don't like, is that one, what's the joke? I hated this joke as a kid. The joke where no soap radio.
What?
No soap radio. Do you know what that joke is?
I don't.
All right, so you say some joke, but you don't say a joke, and then the guy comes in and he goes, no soap radio, and the joke is that there's no joke, and you try to get the other people to laugh at it, or you get one guy to laugh at it because he's the idiot. Everybody else is in on it.
Gotcha.
Doesn't that sound terrible to you?
It really does. It sounds like a waste of everybody's time.
It is. I thought. See, I grew up thinking everyone heard that one.
Yeah.
No soap radio.
It was a local.
Can you people write in? You people, well, I like to refer to our fans.
Yeah.
I don't like to use the word fan, but I secretly do. Please write in general. So so anyway, New Year's Eve, I don't like it. So I want to find something good to watch. You stay home with the wife. You drink a lot of champagne.
Right. Watch a movie.
That's, I think, what I'm going to do. I know. I just like I have some affection for the idea of you turn on late night TV and it was Letterman, or you turn on and it was Carson.
Right.
Or you turn on, even Tom Snyder I was addicted to.
Sure.
When he had that. I was addicted
Bob Costas.
Yeah, I love that show. Linda Ellaby, and that's the way it was.
Charlie Rose Night Watch. Back in the day. Back before.
Charlie. Ixnay and the Charlie Rose. Who hasn't been accused of sexual harassment? Is what I want to know.
Looking across the table.
I haven't. You know why?
Clean as a whistle, man.
I've been accused of sexual inadequacies.
Sure.
I've had written.
But that already came out.
Or you came out. Oh, no, they wouldn't wait. Oh, if she wasn't happy with the sex, why would she wait 40 years? Andy Kindler is the worst in bed of anybody I've ever slept with. I'm not making a complaint. I am making a complaint. It's not a legal complaint.
He ruined my self-confidence for years.
Yes. First of all, how do you know when it's hard? Come on, this is the kind of stuff.
How do you get back to the top of the barrel after that?
And I can never use after sleeping with Andy Kindler, I can never use the word scraping again.
Right.
Scraping the bottom of the bow. Because, something like that. I don't know. It wasn't really good. But, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Dead end.
I forgot what the rest of that bit was. I told myself I'm never going to say that again. And I've said it twice so far.
Yeah.
Where was I?
So I was thinking today we would talk some about this, just the overall this past year. Obviously, the biggest cloud was Trump, and that we don't need to talk about that. But we both had pretty productive years in a lot of ways. I think.
Well, I celebrated this 1 year in therapy.
Is that what this is now?
It really is, because I started therapy on December 7th or 8th of last year.
Mazel tov.
Mazel tov. So I do feel it's a new world for me. And so in that sense, and I'm also starting to focus in on solutions for I have a one solution I came up with for OCD.
Yeah.
Because my rule is, and you have different rules because you don't hate yourself generally, right? Would you say that's true?
Generally, no. I mean, I get there.
You can get there, right? I think anybody can get there because that's one of the things that that people do.
Right.
But I don't know. This is hopefully it's been the best of years. It's been the worst of years because my memory. I spoke to my sister today about memory because I'm worried that I might have something, and she pointed out something very interesting to me that her doctor, Dr. Flashner, who's a great doctor, who's also an Orthodox Jewish man.
Right.
He said, if you don't remember what you just said, that's not like dementia. But if you look at your car keys and you don't know what they are,
right.
Luckily I have never had that. I forget everything I'm going to say, but I've never had the other thing.
That's the saying, is that it's not where you put your keys, you forget what your keys are for.
Why do you have to now, this is my moment in the sun.
Yeah.
I called you up later.
Because it was on the West Wing, okay?
It was on the West Wing?
Yes.
You just admitted you watched the West Wing.
I love the West Wing.
How come I can never get into the West Wing?
I don't know.
He's very stylized.
I know. I loved the fantasy of it.
Did you like an American
president? It was
president?
a celebration of smart people, and I really I got off on that.
Yeah, but it's like a fictional world too, in a way.
Absolutely, absolutely. But it's an aspirational world,
right? Okay, now I feel bad, but I
you don't have to feel bad.
I was watching Hill Street Blues.
Huh?
I was watching Hill Street Blues.
Not at the same time as that.
I don't know.
20 full years earlier.
Can't you let me get an excuse off without having?
I don't know what you need an excuse.
Technically,
it's not like it's part of. It's not like it. At this point, not seeing a TV series can't be used against anyone.
Right. That's true. And can I use this? Is it going to be on the test? Because I used to love that one as a kid.
Oh, that's a golden.
Did you use that as a class clown? Is it going to be on the test?
No, I was way better than that.
Why do you have this? Why do you feel it's important to present yourself as a child who is so precocious and beyond his years? Because it's true.
Yeah.
All right, now I forgot what I was saying, but I really want to remember what I was saying because I was saying here's what it was. I came up with a OCD thing, a solution thing. So I have a OCD, as we all know. It's been in the papers. And the thing is I can get paralyzed because I'll say, I didn't finish the taxes. Here's how it starts. I didn't finish the taxes. The accountant asked for the taxes. I'm in serious trouble. I'm going to jail. I better do these taxes. And that's all I'm going to do with these taxes. And so what do? I don't go out and buy a tree. I don't do anything else in the house. And you cannot live your life that way. And the reason why I lived my life that way was because I was saying, I respond to everything as an emergency. The accountant asked me for something. I'm in trouble already. He's my parent. He's my father. I must, and so that's the false belief. And now if I can get rid of that false belief, then I don't have to think I'm rushing around everywhere. And that's where I get paralyzed. I try to do a million different things and I don't do anything.
Right.
So now I try to write some Christmas cards. I don't push it after 10 minutes. I go to something else. Clean the kitchen. Boom. I line up all these activities. I'm not saying it's a cure-all.
Right. But it organizes you a little bit.
Or it's like a trick to organize me.
Right.
Like I wouldn't want to be doing the cleaning the kitchen, but I don't want to be doing the cards. But what it's not good for me to do is just sit there, bang my head against the
and worry about how much you have to do.
Yeah, or I mean, what do you do when you get paralyzed? Like, I can't do that.
I freeze in place.
What's that?
I freeze in place. Oh, you mean after?
Yeah, even after. Well,
I don't know. I mean, it's different. I have different tripwires. If it's anything like the tax thing, that's the kind of thing that would paralyze me.
Right.
But I've set up. I have someone who does it, and they just do it. And
I have someone who does it too, but
right,
I have to supply it to them.
Yeah, but I just don't take as many deductions either. I just get it done.
This is it.
Yeah.
But you have complicated things with your various houses and your yacht. You have 2 yachts.
I sold one.
You sold one, yeah. Because they wouldn't let you deduct these days.
Exactly. Who knew Trump was coming, huh?
Yeah.
No, yeah. So I totally get paralyzed by stuff, and I mean, there's still stuff with this movie, the Debar movie.
So why do I think the grass is greener in your grass?
I don't know. It's a fantasy.
It is a fantasy.
I mean, I get.
There are certain areas that you don't get as upset about, or certain areas that you don't.
Yeah, honest to God, it's way easier to be me than you. I know that.
That's probably true. Right? So you don't really say, "God damn!" You don't yell at yourself too much.
No, I don't. I don't spend a lot of time on it.
Yeah.
I build it into the process, kind of.
You're going to go, God damn it.
I mean, yeah, it's part of the trudging through it. Is the fuck? Okay, come on, just fucking get get this done. Get this done.
That's different. See, you're saying to yourself, "Come on, let's get it done." I'm saying that's not a bad life coach. That's a life coach who's like, "Come on, you can do one more, Josh." My guy is asshole. It's probably too late. I don't even know why you're doing it now, your taxes, because you haven't gotten them in time, and you're going to be arrested. And the way I've defeated some of those OCDs is to actually go through the thought process, and I've convinced myself in certain cases there is nothing for me to worry about.
Yeah, I think that's the whole thing you have to do is answer those questions.
Yes.
You're asking yourself, what's going to happen if I don't get the taxes to the thing?
But it's a tricky thing because sometimes OCD is nothing but asking those questions.
Sure.
And so it's like, what do I do? What do I do? Am I good? Am I bad? Am I good? Am I bad? My whole life I've been going, are you a good person or a bad person? Are you a good person or a bad person? That person's looking at me. Should I entertain them? Are you conscious when you're in a conversation with people? Are you generally conscious that you're in a conversation? I generally am conscious of that other level of I'm having a conversation.
No, but I have such ADD that I have to focus on what people are saying, because my brain, I've talked a bunch of times about my 2 soundtracks in my head. And one of them is always dancing around, commenting in my head about what the person is saying. And the other one is trying really hard to listen and actually be in the conversation.
Right.
So it's, one-on-one, it's not a problem for me. If you get me around a group of people and there's 2 conversations going on.
Yes.
It's so hard. It's really stress-inducing for me because my ear jumps back and forth.
Right.
And I guess I've heard that's an ADD thing.
I think that is too, because I generally find, let's say we're going to go out, me, you, and Joel and Madison. Yeah. We're going to go out for a meal. I don't generally like, if it's us 3, I don't generally like, or 4. It could only happen with 4, I just realized. I don't generally like you and Schmecky have a conversation.
Yeah, 2 conversations at a table.
I don't like that so much.
No, it doesn't work for me either.
Yeah, because the whole point is you could have those conversaons. I mean, I'm not saying it's
I don't
a big
begrudge
deal.
the others having a conversation, but I can't carry on the other conversation well.
Go hardcore on them. If you 2 want to talk, why don't you take it outside?
Get another table.
Why don't you get a room? But yeah, I get so I feel like there's also something socially interesting or that we were meant to get together and talk about something, in groups.
Right.
So you're almost not that, like you say, if you take the judgment away from it, you're not defeating the purpose of going out for a meal. And sometimes people are like, you see couples, they're like, I'm going to talk to the husband. I'm going to talk to the wife.
Right.
That happens a lot still, even with our generation.
Yeah. Or people who separate couples at dinner parties.
Right.
Yeah.
But also just the societal tendency through generations to go, oh, well, you go in another room and talk, ladies, and me and Josh will smoke a pipe out here, or something, load logs into the pipe.
No, that was, until, 40 years ago or whatever. Yeah. That was the societal thing, is the men and the women split up.
Hence all the jokes and all the sitcoms.
Right.
About, Did she let you go on the golf trip or whatever the thing was?
Or women going to the bathroom in groups or all that shit. I forgot what I was going to say.
We should change it to I forgot what I was going to say instead of Phil Spiral.
Wait, please tell me.
Wait. I would like you to remind me. Wait.
So yeah, it was an interesting year in that, in just the
I find
growth
it very.
I mean, I had a growy kind of year too.
Well, how long has it been since you were sick?
It has been. It'll be 4 years in January since I had the kidney taken out.
So do you feel like
I have to go in for a scan this and then too.
Like when? Like soon?
Yeah.
Do you feel? Well, those had to be tumultuous years, right?
Yeah, it was a really that year from like end of 13 to mid 14 was all health shit.
Right. Because you were going through all that stuff.
Yeah, because I had a few operations and all that crap. But I don't know. It's been weird. It's like this feels like the end of a 10-year cycle to me because it was 10 years ago. It was 2007 that I stopped doing TV staff jobs.
Oh wow, that's kind of interesting. Like it's a cycle almost.
Yeah, so it's been. I mean, and that's part of that whole self-loathing, pushing myself to work thing. Is that it's been 10 years of me sort of having to answer to myself.
Right. But I think it was an important move. Like when you first left, whatever you left,
it was AFV that I left.
I was like, there was part of me that was saying, I can't believe, not so much to this extent, but like, I can't believe he's not going to keep doing that forever, because it seemed to me like it was like, if it was really like 10 minutes a day that you put into it,
right.
But I know that it wasn't, but that was my image.
By
of
the
it.
end, it wasn't.
Yeah, because
at first, it, for the first couple of years of it, or several years of it,
yeah,
when I was doing my consulting gig, just writing basically a draft of the whole show, basically.
Oh, that's how you started with it?
That's what I was doing from home, is sending them. I would write all the intros, and I'd write a joke for each clip, and I'd send them in, and they could do whatever the hell they wanted with them. Some shows I ended up writing a lot of the show, and some,
Right.
But, they wanted my jokes, and so that was awesome. That was...
when you stepped it up, whose idea was it to step it up and come in? They wanted you to come in.
No, they didn't. I just was burned out. I couldn't write. They were starting to recycle clips.
Oh, you mean you never went in?
I went in occasionally.
Occasionally, right,
yeah.
right.
I mean, at first I was going to go in once or twice a week, and then it just became unnecessary.
Okay, so it's more the fact of the routine of it.
It was just writing that show every week.
Yeah.
And it was just like, my whole thing is, and this is part of what happened this year for me, is you can't pay me enough to be bored. You can't,
Yes.
you can't, and this was starting to take up more and more of my time, and creatively, I'd done every joke I had for these kind of clips.
Why was you
more
taking
than
more of
once.
your time? Oh, because you were trying to think
Yeah,
of
because
jokes?
I was trying to be good at it.
Oh, yeah, that would
know?
be bad. I can see how that would drive you
I
nuts.
still had my standards, but
Yes.
it took longer and longer to meet them,
Did you ever refer to anybody when they would get hit in the nuts or anything? Did you ever say,
No, never.
Oh,
never.
that's got to hurt.
Yeah, never.
Batter up.
We didn't even use those clips.
Come on.
Batter up probably happened.
Right.
Batter up probably happened. Oh, that's got to hurt. I don't think we ever went.
No.
Unless it was
Not
pure.
what he-
Unless it was pure irony, we might have done it. But,
Yeah, because it's the Marv Albert. Not what he had in mind.
right. But it was like I had a weird. I mean, part of why I was doing that job is because I was writing pilots each of those seasons.
Oh, I see. That makes total sense.
So that was why it worked. Was
because you could make a living.
Because I felt like I was still creatively moving forward while I was doing that other gig, which wasn't moving me forward creatively. So,
Right.
but I had 3 years in a row of writing pilot scripts that didn't go, and then, and so I was getting really frustrated by that, by not making anything. And,
Right.
So when I quit AFV, I had just sold a movie script.
Oh,
I had
for what
optioned a movie script
You don't have to say.
for one that I'd written that never got made.
Remember when
So
you
it was 4 scripts in a row, basically.
4? Okay.
Yeah.
But-
So it was 3 pilots and a film script that never got made.
Oh, okay.
And I made money on each of them.
on each of them. Okay, so
You know.
you said, "Fuck you! I'm going to be in the film business."
Yeah, I said it much nicer, but that was sort of what was going on in my head. There was no fuck you, but there was like fuck this, you know?
Yeah.
Because it felt like that movie was going to get made at the time. And then the writer's strike happened and everything shut down for months. And then when it came back, it was pretty kind of dead.
That's right. That's 2007 or 2008?
That was the end of 2007, beginning of 2008. But that was also the time during that strike when I started doing Cinematic Titanic. Oh. And so that got me off the showbiz track, you know, for 5 or 6 years of doing DVDs and touring with that and hoping it would sort of grow into something big. And then, you know, we eventually broke up the band, but it was nice to be able to just make stuff and put it out. You know?
Well, that is the life
and we
lesson.
did a dozen DVDs and, you know, and so.
You did like a dozen DVDs?
Yeah.
But that is a life lesson, though, because when you do look back on that, you are proud of the work, and you did have fun.
I did, and then and then I started towards the end of Cinematic Titanic. I started the first movie, and then towards the end of the first movie, I started the second movie, which is the one that just came out.
Oh, I see.
You know, so this year feels like a culmination of those 10 years. You know, because we put out the Cinematic Titanic box set on Shout Factory this year, so that kind of closed that chapter. In a way that didn't feel like this shit is all just sitting on a shelf somewhere. It's like it's out in the world.
That's cool.
That felt really good. You know, getting this movie out felt really good. You know, so I feel like, you know, it was a big cleansing year in that regard.
Well, that's the thing is like I've had a problem with being paralyzed my whole life in some ways. And not even being paralyzed. It's more like thinking, having this mean parent voice who talks about a Christian work ethic. I mean, I went through a lot of my life, and I'm sorry if I'm repeating myself, but I went through a lot of my life saying, I should be a writer, shouldn't I? Shouldn't I get up every day and write 6 hours? And I tried. I didn't even go as far as you did. I wrote a couple of sitcoms. Well, I'm even as far as you. I have to say. Well, I didn't even have the limited success you had. No, I mean, you were a writer, okay?
Yeah.
I written a couple of blind scripts and things like that. And, you know, I think I had a facility to do it, but I didn't have a love for doing it.
Nor do I.
And I don't think all writers do.
I fucking hate writing.
A lot of writers do.
I always have. I'm good at it. Or at least, you know, I'm good enough that people have paid me lots to do it over the years. But I never wanted to be a writer. I never, you know, I was never a kid who wrote all the time.
Right.
You know, it wasn't my dream. It was the path. Got me there, you know. It was a side effect of not being that good a comic, really. You know.
Well, I think it's just also just the exigencies of the business. Is that right? Did I use that right?
I don't know. I was trying
Is
to
it
parse
good, though?
it's good.
Not bad.
I'll roll with it.
You had to make I think one of the main problems in life for anybody is the idea that you have to make a living. I don't think there's any easy answer to that dilemma.
Right.
There's hard answers, and one of the there's brave moves. So to me, that was a brave move that you did.
Yeah, I feel, I feel like it was.
Yes.
And I felt like it was kind of at the time, but I also felt like that kind of bravery I've never had that much trouble with. Betting on myself in some way.
Yes.
I've been able to do. And even when it was sort of misplaced, I was able to do it with a clear conscience. You know?
Right.
And so I don't have any regrets. I really don't. After this 10 years, the other realization I've come to is, yes, you can put your work out into the world, but you're not going to make much money doing that.
Oh, you don't know. I would say you don't know how much money you're going to make. And I just realized something. You, in many ways, are hard on yourself. I just realized.
Yeah.
You're
just getting there.
I never saw that before to the degree that you're very hard on yourself.
I camouflage it with arrogance. But no, I am hard on myself, because, I have to be.
I also think
no one else gives a shit. Quite honestly.
No, but you know what? No, I don't even know if you see. My thing is like when I look back over the year. Let's take the year as a podcast. You know, when I look back, I look back and I realize I had this concept going into the podcast of what it would be like.
Yeah.
And it was what I thought it would be like, which is like you can stay in your head forever about what you think you should be doing on a podcast, but you really just basically have to try the idea that you came up with and see how it develops.
Right.
And so there's no like a shortcut for that in a way. Maybe there are. Maybe some people just like the first time it's like golden podcast.
Right.
That sounds like shower. But the thing is that when I would have downtimes this year, it was simply the problem I've had my whole life is like you question yourself and you are. You just are in that mode of like, am I good? Am I whatever it is? And that's like a natural thing, especially when it's something new that you're starting.
And that was kind of, I mean, honestly, that whole area was a place where I sort of came to peace this year, where I've realized, and this has happened, and like it's really come into focus just in the last week, but it's been something I've been talking about all year, and that is the realization that what I really am, and this isn't assigning a value judgment to it, is I'm an artist.
Right.
I'm not,
You're not saying you're an artiste.
No, I'm not saying I'm an artiste. I'm just saying that's the kind of person I am.
Right.
And, I am wired to come up with shit, make it, put it into the world, and I need to, for my own peace, because I've realized I am at peace in a lot of ways. Like I realized, I'm not measuring my dick against anyone at this point.
I wouldn't if I were you.
Yeah, I know.
Because you know what's coming
I'll
up
take
short
out just
means?
enough to beat him. But
is that the Milton Berle joke?
Yes,
or
but it happened in a couple of phases. One was, and this is when I was in Minneapolis having dinner with my brother, and he I don't remember exactly the context of the conversation, but he said, yeah, and you've really truly lived your life as an artist. And I was like, it was a really meaningful thing to say to me.
Right. Because
that is what I've been trying to do, and I haven't couched it that way. I mean, I've always sort of seen myself kind of that way, but I don't like the way it sounds. I don't like saying I'm an artist, and I'll never introduce myself as an artist. But it's a way to frame myself in my head instead of a fledgling filmmaker or struggling comic or,
exactly.
or wannabe musician or floundering podcaster, whatever it is, none of that matters because it's all, the whole thing is what I want. Is all, I want to do all these things, and I always have. I've always wanted to keep growing and trying to learn something with each thing, Well, but that's one way to measure it, and that that measuring stick isn't the same as showbiz success.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
Right.
So as long as I can keep making things, and not make my family suffer because of it, then I think I can find something like contentment.
When you talk about show business, like success, I remember listening to Catherine O'Hara. She was, I think, on Marin or somebody.
Yeah.
And she was talking about...
Catherine O'Hara?
O'Hara, right, sorry. And her sister's a great singer, too. I forgot her name, but it's also O'Hara.
Okay.
When I was listening, like, I loved SCTV. I was addicted to it. It was like part of growing up in a way,
right.
Because it came out in the 70s, did it? Or the early 80s? It
started in the late 70s.
Yeah. And so when you hear Catherine O'Hara talk about the experience, she doesn't have the same
preciousness.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's what it is. And I don't think you can. It's like when I think back and I came up with Mr. Show and all these great people, I wasn't thinking, man, this is a great party. I was in my own head a lot,
Right.
And so that just shows you that when I was a little kid and go, I want to be the Beatles, but no, I want to really be the Beatles. I want to be that. I want to be hanging around with John, Paul, and George, whatever it was in your mind. That's not what being the Beatles was, for them.
Right.
Even though I'm not saying that they seemed to love what was happening to them,
right.
and enjoyed it very much.
Right. But only they can know what it was.
Only they can know what it was.
Right.
And so I think that's true for art in general because I really don't think you're in control of where things go 100%.
No.
But you can be in control of how you mostly of how you feel, of your attitude, of how you approach things. And that's why, you're saying what you learned about being an artist. I think it's the same thing for myself. It's like when you say I'm a stand-up or I'm a this or I'm a that, like you said, you can attach those adjectives to, is that adjective, like struggling this,
Sure.
or whatever. But then it's like you're defining yourself in a way that you like someone who would be asking you, so what are you doing these days?
Right.
You know? And then, well, I'm an amateur songwriter. You know, it's like any way that you describe yourself in a definitive way is almost always misleading.
Right.
So to me,
And there's good ego times, you know.
Yes.
When people, you know, like right now, I feel great because people ask me, I go, I have a movie that came out last week, you know.
yes.
And I can tell them where they can get it, you know. But so much of the last 10 years has been, well, I'm working on this. Oh, where can I see it? Well, you can't yet, you know.
Right. Well, it's important that, you know, like we talked about that a long time ago. It's not so much legacy. It's about, I want to get this thing out there so people can enjoy it.
Yeah.
You know? But.
And getting it out of my life, you know.
Right.
At least in the way that it requires something from me, you know.
But I think that the thing is, I think I've talked about this before. I do watercolor. I do all these things I've done in my life. Like when I first watercolored,
Right.
I said, this is going to be a masterpiece. That's part of how I am.
Right.
Everyone's going to be a masterpiece. But then but what I didn't realize was also, so I had this like, don't tell me I can't do something.
Right.
But what I didn't realize that was part of that was a tremendous amount of hate for myself and questioning of myself.
Right.
Because that's what it's like. You saying you're an artist is the same thing as me saying, yeah, I am a songwriter. I am this, that. I'm not saying I'm a songwriter, the greatest songwriter of all time, but I'm also not saying I'm not the greatest. In other words, like,
Right.
I want to take that out of the equation of why I do things.
Right.
And so,
And that's why I'm saying artist it's not as an occupation.
Right.
It's a type of person.
yes.
And I'm that type of person.
And it doesn't limit yourself.
Right. I mean, I'll still say I'm a comic or a director, you know, whatever it is, but it was a shift in my head. It was funny because I was listening, the second part of that cementing itself was listening to an interview with Paul Simon, who was literally talking about that thing. And in fact, I'm probably borrowing some of his words.
What was he saying?
He was saying that he always resisted the label artist until his mid 40s.
Oh, okay.
When he finally went, oh yeah, man, that's what I am, you know?
Yeah.
And when I heard him say that, I was like, that's like exactly where I'm at right now. Is that, you know, I can only judge my work on its own thing.
Well, it's also
Whatever that means.
it's very positive to not limit yourself in the way you describe yourself. I think that's just like I'm a stand-up comic. So I feel like stand-up comedy is the thing I most enjoy.
Right.
But it's still a part of your mind that you're using that is not reality, which is the thing you most enjoy is not what is not the purpose of life.
Right.
You know, your top 10.
Right.
What was my top 10 list in my 60s? They're interesting categorization tools, but they don't define you. And I think that's the problem is like, when musicians used to ask, when I was a musician, I didn't like when people say what kind of music it is because it's really hard to describe
Right.
music, I think.
Right.
Because any description is like, sounds limiting. I kind of have a reggae feel. No one wants to hear what my version of a reggae feel is.
Right.
It can only hurt me.
Right.
And just as when I was in the group Transfusion, where we said we were going beyond fusion, but we couldn't even play fusion.
Right.
So that's an example of what are you doing? What do you? And I always feel like when people ask me what's alternative comedy, I always feel like you're not getting the point of categories. The only reason to have categories is so you can delineate a certain time period. So in other words, to me, the early 80s will always be new wave in terms of it being a reaction to the commercialization of the 70s and the perfect sounding thing. But there's nothing that is new wave about it that defines, there's nothing necessarily that defines it as new. It doesn't
No, it
have
was
to
a
be
record
like,
company term. That's why.
oh, it was?
Yeah. It was to delineate it from punk, essentially, but.
And you know that Daniel Klaus, who I find very interesting, when he's interviewed, he said that he never liked graphic novels. Nobody liked it when they call comic books graphic novels.
Right.
Because a lot of times they're not novels. They could be autobiographical.
Right.
But he was saying, Klaus was saying, there's really the word worked for the marketing of
Right.
it. So he doesn't care.
It made
So he
it
goes,
highfalutin.
Yeah. So it's like, okay, it did work, and you have to have some kind of name, so who cares? I thought that was a kind of an adult way to look at that's why I would not want to be in a movement called punk.
Right. Well, yeah, it's one of those words that, you know, lost all its meaning.
I'm sure
along the way.
every punk quote punk band. Hey, to refer to as a punk band.
I don't know. Some of them don't, but they'll fight you about what it means.
Really? You think that? Okay, because it's like, but some of the arguments about what punk could be, I think you could come up and say there's a certain amount of not objectivity, but things we can agree upon. So, like, I would say the Ramones were punk in the sense that they weren't like clean sounding.
Right.
So we could generally agree with that, but that wouldn't define all the music that was punk. Although I don't know enough about punk to really know what I'm talking about.
No, I mean, the Ramones is pretty easy to put into punk, but then, Blondie.
Right. Blondie is like, you could say pop.
Right.
Now I never used terms, and you told me you used to love these terms. Progressive rock. That's all you did. And you love glam bands.
I say prog rock, actually.
Prog rock. That just shows I don't know what I'm talking about. No. And glam bands.
I made a movie about a glam rock star, but
I never realized
I hate
that
progressive rock.
That's interesting because when I saw that documentary, I didn't think of him as progressive rock.
He wasn't. He was glam.
Glam. I didn't think of him as glam. What's the difference? Prog rock is like...
It's like Yes.
Okay. All right. So we can say that this is an annoying group of musicians who you can't you can't go too far. I know that they're annoying, but what is an example of a group?
Yes.
No, I know that you agree with me, but can you think of a group that would sum up that thing?
Yes.
That was the most bored one. So I would say, like, I know who David Bowie is, but I don't really know what glam rock is. Like, David Bowie was a thing unto itself.
Glam rock was more like New York Dolls. You
Yeah.
know, it was that trashy, sort of slightly cross-dressy.
Oh, like Queen?
It was, yeah. I mean, Queen was sort of the elevated version of that.
Right, right.
Their aesthetic was kind of glam rock. Certainly Freddie Mercury's was.
Yeah.
But New York Dolls is,
So there wouldn't be a million bands you could put into that category, right?
No.
Like Television or something?
Television, I think more of as a punk band.
Oh, okay. Wendy O. Williams, punk band.
Punk band, yeah.
Let me think if I could, the Mumps?
Yes.
Glam rock?
Punk, I think.
Okay.
I think for the most. Cramps, punk. Dead Kennedys, punk.
I used to make fun of David Cross.
Jodie Foster's Army, punk.
Is that an actual group?
Yeah.
Why did they bother her? She's already had a problem with the Hinckley. Just leave her out of the name of your group.
It was back when it was topical, even.
No, I don't want to. Leave her alone. What was the name of the group?
Jodie Foster's Army, JFA.
Hey, hi, this is Jodie Foster's representation. Yes. She's had a lot of trouble. Have you
Fuck
followed
you.
it? Yeah, but you followed
Fuck you.
Okay, but here's what we're asking you.
Uh-huh.
Would you get off her back?
No, fuck you.
No, you can be reasonable about this, sir.
Sure I can. Fuck you.
Mr. Weinstein, how was your New Year's? Come in here before you dot another I.
Oh, Mr. Kindler. Oh, Mr. Kindler.
Mr. Weinstein.
I saved you some eggnog.
Why do I think this is actual dialogue?
I don't
Mr.
know.
Weinstein,
You're just saying my
please.
name over and over
Mr.
and over
Weinstein,
and over.
Mr. Weinstein, you're making a fool of yourself. There were two mistakes I make. Your pronunciation of your name.
No, Weinstein is right.
That was right.
Yeah.
But there was something earlier that I did that you pointed out to me. Why are you saying that? It's a different thing. I can't remember it.
I don't know.
This is my favorite show of the year. And this is what ogres a good New Year. Ogres. What does that mean? Ogres. Ougurs. I am a person who knows how complicated words are spelled, but never quite knows the meaning of the words I'm using. I mean, I could be very fervid about it.
All right.
I don't really know what fervid means. I think it means feverish. Feverish and like earnest. But I don't know what earnest means. Earnest means like you're just meaningful to you. That I'm saying, oh, Josh, you have to hear about this thing. I'm making airplanes out of
No,
paper mache.
that's not earnest.
Oh, give me an example.
That would be more fervent about your airplane making.
So
earnest
what would be earnest?
sincere.
Oh, see? Why wouldn't I? Don't you think a normal person would say, you know what? You have a hunch. Why don't you look it up?
That's a resolution for 2018.
It's true. And I told you about Meiseld, right? We've told you about Meiseld?
No.
My sister and I, and there may be more people this way, we read the word misled.
As Meiseld.
As Meiseld.
Yeah. I used to too when I was a kid.
Not only did I read it as Meiseld, I didn't even think it was did mean to misled.
Right.
I thought it meant you're something in
You're a
addition.
Meisler.
Well, I think this year is going to be a great year. Now, I do have an anecdote. Do you want to hear one of my end of the year anecdotes that I've prepared for you?
Do I?
I wish you'd been there. But this was both growth for me and both an indication of the panic and the terror that I have lived my life for no reason. Okay? So I walk into the elevator, and you notice how you look when you look in the elevator and there's like an elevator shaft of some type?
Yeah.
And do you ever think, oh, God, one of these days I'm going to drop my keys down there?
No.
Okay, well, I did drop my keys down there.
Really?
Yeah, I dropped my keys down the elevator shaft.
Is that your apartment?
My apartment building. Yeah,
Okay.
This
condo. Sorry.
We should set this up. There's not a lot of condos or places that have elevators in LA. Not tons of them, right? For like 3-story places. I mean, it's not the usual thing.
No, I think 3 stories.
Oh, shut up! Jesus Christ! I saw that look on his face. That was the most.
Why are you trying to carve
That was the most
elitism?
Oh, shut the hell up already!
Trying to carve.
Because you are. Okay, Josh. Well, because Josh is excited because his house has an elevator, like one of those things that Dean Martin came down.
That's a spiral staircase, isn't it?
Oh, I don't know what I'm saying. Can't you let anything go? Does everything have to be a thing?
We have a fire pole.
So, zoop, and when I say drop, I mean no net. There was really no net.
Bottom of the shaft.
So
how did that happen, first of all?
Okay, here's the way all of my problems happen. What my problem is when I start to rush or get ahead of myself.
Right.
I'm likely to do something like balance my keys on the thing because I'm reaching for something else, and therefore I'm not holding my keys.
Gotcha.
And that's why I always think about, and this is kind of a bummer, but I always think about Christopher Reeve. I'll never forget what he said. He said he remembers when he fell that he lost his focus for a second. And obviously that was a terrible result from it, but it does make you realize that the idea of focusing or being in the moment of what you're doing can be a very important thing for me, for example.
Right.
But so that's what it was. I wasn't, whatever. I had 2 things I was thinking of at once, went down the shaft.
So it's not, Alzheimer's is not about forgetting where your keys are.
No.
It's about dropping them down an elevator
shaft. They just say that's moronic.
Right.
I went to the doctor, right? I think I should set him an appointment. I said, what is this? He goes, you're a moron. I said, really? Is that scientific?
Certified.
Is that certified? So, okay.
Okay, so now your keys are at the bottom.
Now my keys are at the
elevator
bottom. Oh, all right. Now, my normal reaction to anything since I was a little kid is to panic like I'm going to die.
Right.
All right? It sounds like that.
Right.
It sounds like Lucky when Lucky's singing. No. So, okay. Now, as I've gotten slightly more healthy over the year, or even the last few years, I would say I'm not as panicked as I was as a younger man, right? So I was able to not panic like I normally would. I knew Susan was at Gelson's.
Yeah.
I knew she was on her way home from Gelson's.
Right.
I knew I couldn't get into the apartment. And then I said, let me see if I can see where these keys are. So I look down with a flashlight, and I can see these keys within reach.
Are you on floor 1 or floor 3?
I'm on G.
Okay.
I'm on
so
G.
they're only a few feet below you.
That's right.
Okay.
So if I had dropped it at a higher floor, who knows what would have happened, right? It could have gone anywhere within the shaft. I don't know. But there's that area at the bottom. I guess they could get into that area if they needed to, right?
I would think.
So I see the keys there. And then I call Susan. I'm doing well. Everything is good. I'm not panicking. She comes home. And then we start to put together a Rube Goldberg, or whatever you want to call it. And so here's what we did. She has a powerful magnet. Do you have a magnet?
I don't offhand.
That's what you need sometimes.
Yeah, sometimes
if you do,
a powerful magnet.
There are so many times where a grabby thing with a magnet is exactly what I need.
I should have learned from that game Down the Drain.
What is that game?
That was a game where little coins would go down the sewer grate, and you would thread a magnet on a string down and try to pull them out.
Did you play it in an actual sewer, or was it like a fake sewer?
Well, I built the house out to look like a sewer so I could play it, but no, it's just a little boy. It's a Milton Bradley game.
It was what?
It's like a Milton Bradley game.
Milton Bradley game.
Yeah.
I've never heard of that one. I can't believe it. Down the drain. Folks, if you know about it, write in. So Susan comes home, and so then we get a magnet. We get a big magnet, and which this is the thing. You really need to have one of those things because
does that magnet have a loop on it that you can attach a
we
string?
did not have. That's what we needed. So, but with the magnet, what I didn't realize, and you probably know this, is that keys are not magnetic. You knew that probably,
They're
right?
aluminum. Yeah.
Did you know?
I wouldn't know. I would have tried the magnet.
You would have tried that,
Yeah.
right? It's not the key that's magnetic. It's the loop. It's the key loop.
Key ring.
Key ring. Thank you. So we get 2 curtain rods that we should have thrown out, but we didn't throw them out. So I put 1 curtain rod, and Susan's unbelievable. She just the masking tape and this. Right. It's a MacGyver. We did 3 MacGyver jokes.
I was older than that.
I know, it's Mission Impossible. So we go down the shaft with it. What we didn't realize was that the magnet would stick onto the shaft before it went down. So here's what happened. I got into this mode where it's like, I don't know how anybody could be with me or want to even not just shoot me.
Oh, I know that mode.
Yes. And I'm like, oh my God. It's like, I'm ready for this. I want this to work so badly, but not enough to do it rationally and without panicking at the end.
Right.
So I pulled it up, and Susan was like, "Just would you?" And I'm like, she's like ready to kill me, but not like in a bad way. I'm the guy on the island throwing away the last thing of water because I'm trying to get the car to work or something.
Right.
You know, it's like I'm panicking. So I pull it up. I pull it up. I pull it up, and then it gets to the top.
Catches. Drops.
I see it catches. So here's what I do. I yank it up. I yank it as hard as I can. And guess what happened?
It came out.
No, it fell down. The goddamn
That's
thing.
what I figured.
It fell down. And I was like, but there's a part of me that wants to sabotage myself almost. I get so mad. And I think I can't do it. And well, she was like, Andy, she was so funny. Like, Andy, please, you can't. And she rationally talked to me. And she talked me down.
Yeah.
And then we worked as a team. And she sat on top of the elevator shaft. And I worked with her. I wasn't going to panic. Wasn't yelling. Oh! And she did this thing where she lifted it up, and it came out, and then she went flat on her back, continuing like the world's greatest, whatever you would call that sport. And it just came out. Oh, it was just the greatest feeling in the world. It really was good. And I learned about myself that I still have a long way to go.
Meanwhile, Mr. Roper was on the other side listening to you go, easy with the shaft. No, gentle on the shaft.
Is that what he would do? Is that Three's Company?
Yeah.
Is that Mr. Furley?
It was Mr. Roper, then Mr. Furley. Two people.
Oh, Don Knotts came on later in the show?
Norman Fell, then Don Knotts.
Norman Fell was funny.
Yes, he was.
But that show was not funny. I hate to tell everybody.
It was not funny, but I watched it as a young man.
Did you watch it because you were young enough that it was okay?
Because I was 7, yeah.
And did you say, boy, that Suzanne Summers got some great bazoombas?
Look at the getaway pegs on her, I would say.
So this was an amazing thing that we were able to do it.
Mazel tov. Because
the big fear I was having, and the reason why I panicked was, if I drop it, it's going to go too far underneath where we couldn't see it.
Right.
I happened to drop it, and it just stayed right there.
Nice.
Great story.
It really is.
Really is a great story.
Had a beginning, middle, and end.
Thank you, Phil Rosenthal. Phil Rosenthal, shout out to him. He hasn't said anything about my podcast.
Huh,
What's his deal?
Huh.
I've watched everything he's in. Why am I trying to cause feuds?
I don't know.
Now.
It doesn't matter. No one cares.
But that was I did look up online. There's a thing that the elevator company has that's like a hook.
Yeah.
So they can come and do it that way. It could cost $300 though.
Yeah. I would have probably gone with the coat with hanger.
Oh, we did go with the coat with hanger.
Too long?
No. We needed was
drop?
a hanger on the side of it as it was coming up.
To hook the key. Right?
And then hooked it. And that's what Susan did. She hooked it, and then this move she made.
Boated it like a fish, basically.
Yes, and this move she made, where she knew that she had to keep her hands straight up like that.
Right.
And she went back and did a pirouette, a 370, a double axel.
370. That's very rare.
And then she ended with a plie.
Nice.
You know what my plie is? You never
Guilty.
If it was up to me, this would be the only kind of comedy I would ever do.
Yeah. Which
How angry were you at me when I first got here today? Now,
I really, honestly, I wasn't angry with you.
But
I was
you
just,
knew you
frustrated.
had to get me at some point. You had to get through to me.
I had to make you understand what we were doing.
Right.
Yeah.
And the reason why I don't understand things is because I think the way you're supposed to understand things is to get a little information and then jump in and say what you think the person wants to say. Because
Right.
this is the way it takes hours.
Right.
Oh, we're doing the best of? We're not doing the best of. Oh, we're doing the New Year's Eve. What are we doing? Why don't you shut up, Andy? And I can tell you what we're doing for 1 second. Now you see, maybe it's right that I hate myself sometimes. I don't hate myself like I used to.
No.
But in
And
fact,
that's probably good.
no,
but a little is justified.
Well, Janine Garofalo was always hilarious to me. I really related to the fact that her production company was I Hate Myself Productions.
Yeah.
So I can relate to that feeling, but not the new Andy. The new Andy's like Tony Robbins, but shorter.
A lot shorter. He's big.
Why would you say? You know, I have a thing about being diminutive. You know, I have a problem with that.
Yeah.
Do you realize that people come out of Jimmy O's while I walk by half the time? They go, sir, what? Didn't you mean to come in here, tiny?
Yeah, I go by and they go, can you get this down for me?
Oh, my God. That is so cruel. The way you act towards short people.
No reason to live.
Still the greatest song of all time. And the best part of it is the middle part where it goes, short people are just the same as you and I. A fool
Such as I.
All men are brothers until the day we die. It's a
wonderful world. Short people got.
No schmoopy. Every time we sing the songs, which is really my favorite part of the show and what the listeners seem to worried about us getting sued.
Nah.
But we haven't done it. It's all been, what's it called?
No, it's fair use. But
fair use.
Yeah.
That's right, fair use. I'd like to see John Lennon. Oh, he's dead. George Harrison. He's dead. I thought, I don't know why I'm doing these bits, Josh. Did you think I'm going to end up this way, or this is just an annoying phase I'm going through?
No, you're there. I think you're home.
I don't want to turn into what I've always hated.
Uh-oh.
Too late.
So what's your goal?
My goal this year, I would say, I'm already on my path, which is to not be paralyzed by life, and to get rid of for me, it's about getting rid of the voice that yells at me, the parent voice, but also allowing people to be upset with me. Because that was the catch-22 that I would set up in life.
Right.
I'm a horrible person, I say to myself, so you better not tell me anything that makes me conclude that I'm a horrible person, because is that fair? Right? Why would you do that? So I want to loosen up on all ends, embrace life, and enjoy a nice visit to Osh. Because I used to think I hated everything.
Yeah.
You do hate things. Like you're not going to return Splenda or whatever it is.
No.
Right?
Right.
But that's not a move that you've made that limits your life. It's like,
no,
I'm not into it.
I've built my life
on
hassle aversion.
Right.
I hate hassle. And honestly, that's the only thing that I like money for.
Yes.
I mean, I like buying stuff, but I'm not a big consumer. But if you can throw money at a problem, oh my God, that feels good.
Right. And in my case, I realized that the hassle is not the hassle that I think it is. In other words, like, I'm afraid that I'm going to return the thing to the supermarket. And they go, are you fucking kidding me? You're returning this?
Yeah.
Where's your receipt? I have my receipt. Yeah, but it's blah, blah. I built up this whole thing about what an interaction is going to be like. That is my biggest problem. is I have fear of normal. So now I realize that I don't dislike anything specifically. I mean, my family will never wait online. I'm not going to be away online for 9 hours to get an iPhone. But there are certain things that I thought were unpleasant, like going to the market, that I actually enjoy now.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I think dread is, dread's a big component in my life. And it's not something I think is a quality of mine. It's just sort of there. But it's like the thing with returning the Splenda. For me, it's not like I'm afraid of the interaction. It's more like I'm afraid of it being on my to-do list for no fucking reason. You know?
Right. I can see that.
And it's just going to stay on my to-do list.
Yes.
Because it's exactly the kind of thing I procrastinate about. And so rather than take up all that mental space with something I'm never going to fucking do, I just, at the beginning of the process, go, you're never going to fucking do that.
How many pair of pants would you say? Do you have like parachute pants you didn't return, or you have flares? Do you have bell bottoms in your closet that you didn't send back? How many actual clothes would you say you have?
I bet I have, there's probably 10 things in my closet that I ordered online that were too big.
Now, what stops you from going to Goodwill?
Nothing. Just procrastination.
Do you know what stops?
It all will go to Goodwill.
Now, do you know what stops me from going to Goodwill? Is that my wife cured it for me. I felt like I had to log in everything I brought there to make my deduction at the end of the year, and it was driving me nuts. I go, one softcover book,
right,
one
no.
hardcover book.
They just give you a blank receipt.
And I'm not even asking for the receipt. Right. I'm just giving the
right.
stuff away, and it's over. Because the $35 I'm going to end up saving on my taxes is not worth me hoarding things because I haven't logged them.
Exactly. And I'm like that with as many things as I can be.
Right.
It's not worth it.
Right. But the thing is, if my thing was like, I don't want this to be on a to-do list I'm never going to get to, I would be with you on it. But my thing is all versions of the same thing. So actually all versions of me being afraid to stand up for myself in any circumstance.
Right. So
actually the thing at the supermarket is a good practice for me than calling the dentist and saying, I don't want to be knocked out for the surgery. I just want it to be, those things, like I can never say, I don't want this, or I'd rather not have this for something important.
Yeah.
I can't get my comic books from the sleep study person.
Right, because you're embarrassed.
I'm embarrassed.
Right. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I guess I have some of that because there's certain things that I can't seem to push through that well. It's not like asserting myself isn't a problem, really. But
I wouldn't. Yeah, you seem like that's not a problem.
But when it's in the situation, I don't, actively go out to assert myself. But when the rubber meets the road, I feel like I can stand my ground, and I have confidence enough that, those skills will be there when I need them.
I think a lot of my problem goes back to being a kid and being extremely short all the time. Being short, being less strong than the other kids.
Yeah.
Because I had this theory. One time Brenda Pontiff? She's a comic?
No.
Very funny comic. So one time I was, before I met Susan, I was flirting with Brenda Pontiff at the Improv for like a half hour. And then she didn't realize I was standing on a stair. So she's like 6 feet tall or something like that. So I go off, and all of a sudden, I'm like up to her belly button. So it was like a funny thing. She was like,
it's a Benny Hill sketch all of a sudden.
So I realize when I'm up on that stair, or when I'm in a higher place, it's not that you want to be a bully, but you're not as nervous, especially as a guy,
right,
as you are when you're going into a thing and you're the smallest person. And because so many things with men from an early age are like, I'll kick your ass, I never was, that's what would make me scared, was my size.
Well, would it give you any solace to know that my hang up for much of my life has been being too fat in a room? That's my self-consciousness, what it always was.
Yeah, I could never, I wouldn't have known that about you.
I walk around feeling like Chewbacca some of the time, and I'm not even that big,
Right.
I'm a big guy, but I'm only like 6'1",
Why do you think you've always had that feeling?
Because I've always been fat, and it's always been a central issue. I mean, only this year I lost 50 pounds, and it's honestly not something that's in the fact that I lost 50 pounds and it's not the center of my world tells me I'm finally ready to lose 50 pounds. You know
right.
what I mean?
Right.
But like I didn't, I don't think of it as my big accomplishment of 2017,
Were your parents hard on you about your weight, or they didn't care?
No, my mom got such shit from her dad growing up. My mom was like slightly overweight growing up.
Right.
And she got an immense amount of shit from her father about it.
And that wasn't good, right?
It wasn't good. And so she brought that with her to me.
To not do that.
To not do that, but she overcompensated so much.
Oh, I see.
That
yeah.
she decided it was my central issue as much or more than I. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, to her, she really thought that all my problems would be solved by losing weight.
But wait a second. If her dad was hard on her and she didn't like it, why did she think?
Well, she wasn't
hard on you, but
she was sympathetic. She was sympathetic. She was
right.
not. She wasn't making me self-loathing.
Right.
I mean, I think she was kind of indirectly, but her attempt was to not shame about it, but to help do something about it. But because it was such her issue,
right?
It became
your issue.
It became an overweighted, so to speak, issue. You know, and I figured out before she did, growing up, that this isn't going to solve all my problems.
The weight thing.
Because she really thought that, you know, I was so special that, you know, if that was the thing, everyone would just accept me and I'd be very popular. And, you know.
Yeah, that's interesting. But
I kind of, you know, and she would bribe me with, you know, if you lose this, and we'll get you that, you know.
Like a Malamar? She would bribe you?
No, not food so much, but.
Funny. But that wasn't, none of that sounds like it was very good.
It wasn't that good. I mean, and I kind of worked it out with her, you know, because when she was dying, we had lots of talks. And I kind of was like, my only real issue I have from childhood is that, you know.
And so you talked about it with her?
Yeah, absolutely.
And when you talked about it with these serious things, like before she passed, was this something that you both said, we want to do this, or just evolved from when you were visiting her?
Yeah, we just had that relationship.
You always had that relationship going in.
We had a remarkably honest relationship, especially after my dad died. I was really blunt with her because she needed it. You know?
Right. You told on the, what did you say on the podcast before that you'd said to her? There was something that you had said to her. I forget what it was. Maybe I'm wrong.
Well, I mean, there was that whole thing of me basically having to tell her that she's dying.
Okay.
During when she was, because she had, you know, she had done all this positive thinking courses.
That's what it was.
Cancer,
that's what it was. Where you were telling her,
and she had gotten to this point.
Let it go.
Well, because it had fucked her. You know?
Yes,
it helped her for a while, but then she got to the point where no, the cancer was winning, and she was framing it as I'm failing at positive thinking.
Yes,
you know, and that pissed me off. You know,
I'm glad
it pissed me off at the universe. It didn't piss me off at her, but I had to go. Look, Mom, the one thing this family has always been good at is dealing with the truth, and you know, and facing the actual thing, you know.
Right.
And what I see here is you taking something that could be the victory of a beautiful life that you led, you know, and turning it into this defeat, you know, turning it into this failure. And it broke my heart to see that, you know. So it ended up in that very uncomfortable conversation, you know, of me going, Mom, you're dying, you know, and her finally like getting it for real.
Did she get very mad first? Or?
No, she got sad, you know.
Yeah.
But she also thanked me, and you know, it did help her reframe things, you know. But it was brutal to have to say that, to have to go. You need to get this because
you saw where her pain was.
I saw where her pain was, and it was like, you know, this. You have a chance to die more peacefully than this, you know, and die with more, you know, more gratitude is not the right word, but more, you know, more of a, I don't know, more of a, you know, a sunnier.
Well,
I mean, you know, it's hard to use optimism. It's hard to, you know, that's none of those words work, but more of a, you know, a positive view of what got you here, you know, what, you know, the life you did lead, you know, not what you're losing, but what you had, you know, and what you have, and all you know, all the love that surrounds you and that you created, you know.
Yeah, you know, the thing about it is that I think we did talk about this before. Like, I was really mad during the Oprah, The Secret, and all these things where they tell people you create your own reality, and it's a misunderstanding of a deeper philosophical idea. You don't. It's like, if you say you create your own reality, and then you lead that to the Jews wanted to be in the concentration camps.
Yeah.
So you see, it's not.
Yeah, there's so many ways to extrapolate that where it's bullshit.
Right.
Yeah.
So the initial thesis or whatever is that you create your own reality is either totally wrong. I think it's more of a misunderstanding.
It's a metaphor. It's
right.
not. It's not a law.
Right, because you control. The only thing you can control is sometimes your. Like for me, I realized a lot of things I thought were the reason why I didn't like things were not the real reason. It was just that I had this instant association with a color or whatever it was with being depressed. And then once you realize that, then you can overcome those things. But I would think that to me, I think about death more now than I ever did. And I know it's not because I love my wife is really the problem.
Right.
It's like I think this is the thing that's probably plagued people forever or made them not want to get close.
Right.
Because I that's the thing I can't, it's like she can't, nothing can happen to her is the way I live my life,
right.
And that's not realistic. And what you don't realize when you're having that is that if you don't risk the depth of that love, you don't have that depth of that love.
Right.
And I think that's what keeps people a lot of times from, I could say in my own life, I don't want to, I won't get that I don't want to get that attached because it could be dangerous to me to get attached. And now I feel differently about it. So I'm not like saying to Susan, let's talk about death, but I actually am interested in my own exploration of meditation and things like that, but not like I was in my 20s. See, in my 20s, I wanted to find the answer Shirley MacLaine style,
right?
So that I would be, like I don't know what's out there. I think many things could be out there. Who knows? But the desire to have it all, I will only be happy when I realize there is an afterlife, or there is this, or there is whatever. That wasn't working for me.
No, I mean, who knows is an actual conclusion.
Yes.
It is an end in itself, I think, in terms of understanding the universe,
And that was, and the big.
I believe in living as if.
Yes.
Well. As if there's an afterlife, as if there's,
Right.
But I don't, I'm not banking on it. I'm not motivated by it.
I'm not, well, I would say that,
because I honestly don't believe in it. To be truly honest, is I think we're done when we're done.
See, I don't know,
but I think that what you leave behind is your spirit. Not the work, but the feelings. The spirit. The people you touched.
See, I feel like I used to want to believe in a God because I was afraid of death, right? And it's an easy answer. Like when you hear like the new atheists, I don't want to get into it because they annoy me, but when they go, you want there to be a God, so there is a God. So you make up a God.
Right.
I think that's just too simplistic an answer to the world. And I feel like more like, I really don't know what's going to happen. To me, it's almost, I'm not saying as a comment on what you're saying, but it's almost illogical to say, well, probably nothing happens. Because why are you, like if you see a bug die, or you see your family die or whatever, you're assuming that means something about once you die, but you really don't know what's going to happen when you die.
No, I don't.
And I like now that I feel like that I'm paying attention to the spiritual side, where I was so defensive about it before, and so like got into arguments because I kind of like bought into the other person's side, because the atheist side was very much like my dad's side, and I'm trying to make my dad happy, and I have to convince him. Now I really have gone through all these Twitter wars where I am very comfortable in my mind saying there's a spiritual, artistic side to life that you can tap into. And who knows, and Einstein tapped into it. He talked about tapping into it.
Right.
And I would rather have that kind of magical feel to my life than to have this thing where obviously nothing happens. When this whole negative, I don't really understand the extreme atheism, except I think it's probably similar to me reacting to my atheist father by wanting to believe in something.
Right.
I think you want to be an atheist sometimes if you didn't like your upbringing. You know, like if you was too oppressive.
Right.
But I was just a Jew.
Yeah, no, I mean, if you are actively rejecting a religion,
Yes.
it's a different thing, you know.
Because some kids had to really go through this thing where, like, I did it when I was 6 or 7. I was like, it's not real. You know, I was like, Santa Claus isn't real or whatever.
Right.
You know. But some people, they were like believed in the literal translation of the Bible till they were like 17 or 18.
Right. I never bought it. Even
Yeah.
as a kid, I never bought it. You know, it didn't, you know, but what I do buy, and, you know, I was never an atheist. I'm still not an atheist, you know, but the finer point you put on it, the less I believe it, you know. I believe in the I don't know. I totally believe in who knows, you know. And so, you know, the more you put words in God's mouth, or the more you put, you know, definition on the unknown, then the less I'm with you, you know. But if we both say, yeah, there's something bigger than the both of us out there, I can agree with that.
Right.
You know.
If I'm nailing it down, like we had this.
I mean, it's the higher power is what it is, but.
Right. Well, that's why, like, when people would struggle with the higher power things, like, it's just a concept. You don't have to take it as there is a higher power, but in AA it works because you're saying my little mind can't convince me.
Yeah, for my brother who now is more observant of Judaism than when he got sober, he's told me that, you know, he was resistant to that, and then whoever it was at the AA meeting said, do you believe you're the most powerful force in the universe? No.
Right.
Well, then there's a higher power, you know.
Yeah, and it's like, it's just so interesting because...
Not sorry to out you, Chad, by the way.
Yeah, I was wondering about that. Do people know about his...
Yeah.
He's in trouble now. Yeah. Well, this is going to hit the papers.
But I already gave him the credit for the whole artist thing earlier.
Right, because he says... So in other words...
Well, honestly, that mattered, you know, because my brother is the last person in my family whose approval I give a shit about.
Me too, because
you know
your
mean?
Brother has all the positive qualities of you, and he's so sophisticated. I know. He's so and he likes me so much.
I know. If it wasn't for the pot, you'd switch.
Oh, he doesn't. He never smoked. Oh, because
he did. Oh, he did.
Okay, he was a person who shouldn't be smoking pot now.
I guess.
We all
if
know.
There's such a thing.
No, we're very strict. You know how we are. Very strict.
But I mean that approval from him, because I don't, you know, my parents aren't there to give it to me anymore. You know? And I felt, you know, when I was younger that he thought I was getting away with some shit. You know? Right. And so that, you know, so thanks, Chad.
Yeah. That's great.
It's weird that he listens to this, but thanks,
he
Chad.
He does listen to this. Chad, I just want to tell you once again how exciting it is to meet a Weinstein who not only has the artistic side, but the friendliness. I can't even come up with any other examples.
The education.
The ability to, the joie de vivre.
The erudition.
Well, the thing is that I wanted to say was that the spiritual things that have happened to me in my life, I really think they happened to me, but I don't know what they mean.
Right.
So, for example, when my friend and I had the exact same hallucination on LSD that we had pulled a door off its hinges.
Yeah.
And then when we went back a minute later, it never happened, but we both had the exact same shared hallucination. To me, that doesn't... It gave me the idea that there's a lot of things going on that we don't know about why they're going on.
In an LSD lab.
In an LSD lab. But
right.
But also when I had 4 or 5 out-of-body experiences. I think I've talked about them before, where I felt like I was flying around. I haven't had them in 20 years, 10 years, whatever. But when I had 2 weeks before the earthquake, and the woman says, in this out-of-body experience, says, don't forget room 431, and then the earthquake happens at 431, I don't doubt the interesting sides of that. I don't say to myself, that's just a coincidence.
Right.
I say, I think there's some magic going on, but when you start to push for it,
right,
then you go, okay, now let's go to Vegas. Right, exactly. 431, baby. Right. 431. Why are you betting that number? Because that's when the earthquake happened.
Right. And it didn't help me.
It didn't help me, right? So I think there is
if only you could have had an out-of-body experience last week to go get your keys.
That's why I got out of it, because it wasn't practical.
Right.
But it's so interesting to me, because I felt like as a younger man that as I got older, I would be more and more frightened.
Right.
And more, oh, I don't want. But I think people become more rigid if that's where they were when they were young. I think you don't have to become rigid and angry about getting old.
Right.
I don't feel any different than I felt when I was younger in a way.
I feel, yeah. No,
if I was 95, then I would be fooling myself that if I was saying, I don't know, I'm never passing away.
Right. I guess I feel older, but I don't feel essentially different, but I feel.
You mean aches and pains wise and creakiness?
No, I certainly feel that shit.
Yeah.
But I just mean, I kind of wear the life experience fairly happily. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think you do.
And I think, cause it's, it's, I don't know. Cause that's how I find the meaning, is going all these things, the deaths and shit that I've been through, and there's been more good shit than bad shit. But if I don't take strength from that in some way, or build confidence that I can deal with shit, then it seems like a waste, then it seems like there was no growth from that experience, but
yeah.
The fact, I have, in some ways I'm less confident than when I was a 20-year-old, comic moving out to LA, right, yeah. With total confidence and all that shit. I don't have that anymore. I'm not brazen like I once was. It was easier for me to try to get an agent at 20 than it is at 46, just because I hate fucking asking people for shit.
Right.
And I didn't have as much of a problem back then. But
yeah.
So I feel like, all this stuff, the gift that it's been is I can now go through life going, you can kind of deal with anything, Right. You've had cancer, you've lost parents, you've lost friends,
I would say that your attitude towards life is very similar to how I understand Buddhism. And I understand Buddhism from like Alan Watts, but also from this show Philosophy Bites, which I've been getting addicted to, which talks about philosophy. And where these people come on and they explain, like, so in Buddhism, the idea is you try not to get that excited at the highs or the lows.
Right.
You kind of take it in stride. I think that's how you look at life. You don't want to get crazy.
I'm pretty middle pathish.
I think that's a very healthy thing to be. Because the way I was in my 20s was like, if I can't get this seance going, I wasn't successful when I would force things, but I would do the I Ching and I would do all these things. It was like so important for me to have past life experiences and all these things.
Right.
And then it became very frustrating for me because I was constantly chasing these signs in the universe type of thing.
Right.
But if you just take them as like, occasionally the universe lines up and you feel and you are part of this thing, you can't force it. You can swing with it. That to me is a cool thing, and I think that's what you do basically.
Well, and I think it's a difference of like trying to make yourself special rather than trying to discover why you're special.
Right.
And I've always been trying. Like I've never believed I was special really, but I felt like I can work towards it.
Yeah. Also, the idea is like the fact that. It's like you say, you don't call yourself an atheist. Now, I know that there are people out there who do, and I don't have a problem with it, even though people think I do sometimes. It's just mean atheist. But the thing is, the fact that you are able to say, I can't say I'm an atheist, I really don't know, that to me is a healthy thing because it's not arrogant. It's like, when they make that extra step, it's like an arrogance.
It's the same arrogance that bothers me on the other side of the spectrum.
Right.
It's still putting too fine a point on it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's still someone saying there's an absolute truth when they can't possibly know.
It's like a lot of people I know. I have friends who've been to like mediums and things, and it's like, to me, it's like I don't necessarily believe those things happen at all necessarily, but I'm not begrudging anybody who wants to experiment with it. Well, I see on these reality shows all the time, like on the Bravo shows, the Real Housewives, where they always have this thing like a medium is coming over tomorrow. I don't believe in them. I think it's ridiculous. Then they come over, and within 3 seconds, your mother's wants you to know that there was a very special item that you had.
Right.
My locket? it could be your locket,
That's what
and
I'm
they're like,
seeing, yeah.
they instantly turn on a dime,
Right.
and they totally believe it. It's the funniest thing to me. Oh, you must! How could you possibly have known I had a mother?
Right. You're often skeptical, but then
Yes,
you can be turned.
yeah, because those people who are making a living by what I think it is basically sophisticated. Not even that sophisticated, but like Kreskin or the mentalists who know how to lead you.
Yeah, it's manipulation.
It's
generally.
manipulation.
Generally, it is. Yeah.
I see. Is there someone had a death? Death? I see a G. You know, it's all that stuff.
Grammy.
My grandmother's dead. She was a very happy person. She did enjoy soup.
Here's $1,000.
Now, should we take letters or what?
Yeah,
or
before
suggestions?
a couple hours ago, I asked people following us at thought_spiral at Twitter for 2 questions. One was something good that came out of 2017, and the second one was a resolution. So let's take a look.
And I'm excited. See, like, this talk that we had, I'm not saying we solved all the problems,
No.
but I do have a positive view of this year, and it is hard to have it when you think the world could be destroyed any minute.
Yeah.
But that's in a certain way. That's the way things have always been in a way. But this guy is pushing it.
No, it's an especially tense time.
Yeah.
I mean, anyone I know is like 20% more stressed.
Right.
And some of them started at like 95.
Yes.
So, you know. What's your biggest goal for this year?
My biggest goal for this year is the same thing about when I first got into therapy. Was like, I realized that it's more important for me to be happy and in my marriage and in life than it is for me to have a career. Like, I really made that decision.
Yeah.
That my happiness is the most important thing. And it kind of clarified everything for me in a way. And when I say happiness, I don't mean like I got to be happy. I mean opening myself up to what other people, you know, not resisting. It's like the biggest thing I've learned is to not get defensive. It's the hardest thing in the world for me.
Right.
You've seen it over the course of a podcast. Defensive. Then I go, I'm not mad anymore. So the idea that I could not be as defensive makes and realize that I'm not perfect. Nobody's perfect, and really feel that doesn't make me a bad person. Doesn't mean that you're right to do things because it's okay.
Right.
As I said all the time, it's okay. I'm not a horrible person. So I would like to continue down that road.
Good.
And also, I'd like to lose 14 pounds out of my puppet. And I want to make money in Bitcoin.
Yeah.
How about you?
They should pay comics in Bitcoin.
That's a great joke. Did you just write it now?
I did, but it seems to me that someone might have thought of it.
I don't know. It's good.
Well, we got it on record on the podcast now.
It's yours.
My biggest, there's some practical things I have to do. I have to get that Debar movie out the door early in the year. And I think I will. I have to get back surgery.
You do?
Yeah.
What's the matter?
I have a ruptured disc that I've had for years.
That you went to Pilates to solve, right?
That was part of the hope, was that it was.
Did you tell me how you ruptured it, or we know how you ruptured it?
Don't really know.
It wasn't sex with me, right?
It was not sex with you. That was post-rupture.
Why couldn't I not do that joke?
And it's been years.
And they can clearly see it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And what would they be doing?
They will be trimming the dead disc away from the nerve, essentially.
And then fuse it?
I don't think they do. No. In this case, that it was described as just literally kind of trimming it away.
Oh, that sounds good. Don't go to that doctor who sent you a note, though, and told you come in
The
soon.
handwritten letter. It's nothing. People have stuff on their kidney all the time. Come back in 4 months.
So this is now that's an intense thing. Now, do you know when you're going in, or you don't know?
No, I'm resolved to do it because I've been using. I mean, it's literally been 10 years.
Is it?
And it's been, being I keep pushing it off because, I'm on the road. I'm in a comedy group. I can't. And, I'm making a movie. I can't. And, I'm making another movie. I can't. And in the meantime, I can't walk more than like a fucking block and a half,
Is it also a matter like Is it also a matter that it will get worse if you don't do it?
I don't think so because I've had, it's stayed about the same for years right now.
Have you
and if
thought-
I was in constant pain, I would have fixed it years ago. But it's only specifically walking.
Yeah. It's getting worse.
It's not getting better.
Have you thought about opioids?
Yes.
I like someone who thinks that would be the solution. Well, yeah, but I tend to want more. Well, then have you tried taking more of it? Right. I take 30 a day. You know, the opioid thing is when you see those commercials because it makes you constipated, and then you see those commercials for a special industrial strength.
Right. For OIC.
Yeah. Oh, I needed the opioids, but it backed me up. And I mean.
Oh, I see.
What does that mean? Oh, I see.
Opioid-induced constipation.
I didn't know you were doing a bit.
I was.
And it's very funny.
That's what they call it in the...
Oh, I see.
Yes.
Yeah, but by the way, I'm not addicted to opioids, but I've had fun with them at certain times, and they do cause constipation.
They do. That's why I never went down that road very far.
And you get very You get very. It's not going to end well.
It doesn't end well. There was that time when a lot of people in LA were on Vicodin, and you could tell, and it wasn't pretty.
I think a lot of people in the 90s were on it after cocaine.
Yeah, I think so too.
Because you couldn't get enough ecstasy.
All right, let's go to the listeners.
Let's go to the tape.
Let's see.
This is too much show today.
It's a lot of show. Let's see. God, there's a lot of them. Something good from Derek Faraci. Something good. I saw Andy Kindler pogo stick video for the first time. Resolution to watch the Andy Kindler pogo stick video at least once a week.
Very glad that I could bring people joy through watching me in pain.
And you did. And you still do.
Every time I think about the fact that pogo sales went up, it makes me so mad.
Our friend Perush, good about 17. Obviously, thought spiral, he says. New Year's resolution, try the baby voice.
For himself?
I think so, yeah.
Oh, Perush, if you do it...
Today's the day. It's New Year's Day.
I can't
Baby
believe
New
it.
Year's is here.
Welcome. Happy 2018.
I've never heard you rush so fast to do a bit. That was great.
Gregnog Wencelas.
I know that guy.
I think Greg Ward, I think, is his regular
Oh, that's
name,
right. I didn't realize. No wonder why I've had trouble.
2017 good things, great podcasts like this and David Feldman, Blade Runner 2049, and Last Jedi. Family is healthy. Trump losing support more and more daily. And his resolution, get off Twitter more, lose weight. Get off Twitter more, lose weight. Happy holidays, Josh and Andy.
I think that's except I think people hock themselves too much about weight, but everything else, whatever he wants to do. What am I blocking him
It feels
from?
good. I lost 50.
Yeah.
It feels good. It doesn't change your life.
Are you sure you just didn't misplace them?
I guarantee you I did. Okay. So I can't stop because I know it starts coming back.
Do you have underwear that's so large but you don't want to get rid of it? Why do I say that?
I have a lot of clothes that are too big, and I have a few grades of them now because of this weight loss. So I'm trying to decide what weight and above the clothes I throw away.
Man.
How much gain back do I allow for, or do I just go kamikaze?
You refuse to buy pants larger.
Right. From Emilio Fox.
Hi, Emilio. Happy New
Something
Year.
good. I saw Andy Kindler live for the first time ever. There's a lot of kissing up in these answers, and I like that.
Was it at the particular show?
No, I think he came and saw you in New York.
Oh, okay.
At the
Union. Yes, I remember him. Yes, because I remember him coming up and saying he liked the podcast. And more people are coming up who know nothing about anything except our podcast.
That's fantastic.
They think my comedy's getting in the way. So that's exciting.
Emilio's resolution, making the life that I have and the life that I want one and the same. That's pretty good.
That's really good.
Yeah.
Why do I sound like a teacher?
Tweet Bahara.
I love that name.
Something good. Thought spiral. I'm serious, not pandering. he says.
It makes me so happy.
New Year's res, do everything legal to get rid of Trump, to resist, also to see Thought Spiral podcast at Moon Tower Fest in Austin this spring.
Well, I'm going to Moon Tower,
Right.
but so what are they saying? I got to divide my time between with this thing and the. This is my attitude. I tried to have a horrible
do what you want,
attitude.
but at least mention it when you're down there.
Yeah, but I couldn't believe that you didn't. That you also have the same problem I have. I forget that I have a podcast.
Yeah, I do too. Let's see.
Oh, by the way, doing the podcast at a festival would be a good idea at some point.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
you're the king of comedy festivals.
Right,
It
I
would
should know
seem
what's
that maybe
going
a
on.
little proactive activity.
I could do that. Why don't I want to step up to the table?
I don't know. You're embarrassed by me. You're embarrassed by me, admit
Well,
it.
that's not true, but I am ashamed of you.
Oh, well, that's different. That I can live with. Michelle Wisecarver. Something good about 2017, this podcast, which is my favorite, and that I got to meet Trace Beaulieu and Frank Conniff and watch their show on 2 nights.
Beautiful.
Brilliant. As for a New Year's resolution, I hate resolutions, but punching a Nazi would be pretty kick-ass.
I would support
I like
that.
the cut of your jib, Wisecarver.
I would support that.
Um,
What an edgy guy I am.
that was good.
I'm pro punching Nazis.
Yoshi Yamamoto.
Yes.
One, in a rare positive showbiz story, my little cousin was cast in a series, then picked up during her first round of LA auditions. She's supremely talented and clearly not related to me.
Oh, this happened?
Yes.
Oh, great. I thought that was like a resolution
And
to
then
have.
2, I can only yell at Nazis, at 7 Nazis a week, down from 17.
That is also a good resolution, is to be less angry at the Nazis. But defeat them.
Right. Keith in Full Gear says, oh, this is from Best Show, actually. This is a Best Show related tweet.
Ooh.
Andy, I have recently been listening to Thought Spiral to an extent that some may find concerning. A lot. Maybe it's related to my past year of returning to therapy, my obsessive tendencies, my diagnosis at 36 of ADHD, or my love of delightful comedy with friendly sparring.
Cool. I wrote to him on Twitter because I said we're like twins. You got the same thing happened to him that happened to me. Didn't know, suspected I had the ADHD, but was resisting the diagnosis.
He continues, J. Elvis Weinstein is a perfect foil for Andy Kindler. I've been waiting to say foil since high school English. I was afraid test show meant still in beta. Now I'm reliving the fun of all the times I replayed Andy on Am I Right? And Andy with Sharpling or Gary the Squirrel.
Am I right? You don't know about that show, right? That was a good show, Canadian show.
Yeah.
And Gary the Squirrel, of course, is a character. He's not a real squirrel. Well, I don't know. He could be a real squirrel.
Austin Magellis, I'm going to guess. The good thing this year, graduating from college. Congratulations.
Oh, my God.
And Thought Spiral.
Wow. And they say that the young demographic is not.
That's it. He's our young demographic.
That's exactly
right
who
there.
we want.
And then his goal is to not set arbitrary resolutions I'm not going to meet. Fair enough.
Sounds like, you know what? I say that as a deconstructive kind of a thing.
Yes. Sorry, I was reading on.
No, I knew that. But you see, that just shows you how less defensive I am. 2 years ago, I go, why isn't Josh reacting to my hilarious thing? But I don't need that now.
Dana Schwartz.
Dana.
The good is made 2 internet friends that, for example, I can tweet a joke to without having to say it's a joke. Appreciate this so much, and you guys should know you can consider me your friend too.
Beautiful.
Our interactions and your kindness and talent have made this year so much better for me. That's very nice.
This is nice. This is like I'm getting optimistic about, man.
There you go. This
humankind.
is that kind of energy you want to start a year with. Cuck Todd.
I love that name so much.
And
That
his,
is the
and
greatest.
his devotion to the cuck joke is truly.
And his
is truly-
dislike of Chuck
Number
Todd.
1, the good thing that happened this year, my wife only cheated on me every other night.
Oh my God, is that for real?
Number 2, his goal for 2017 to get her to do it more often.
Oh,
See, Cuck Todd, that's his whole.
oh, it's a character. This didn't really happen.
That's his Twitter character.
That makes sense. Why did I
But he's
think he would-
committed. Cuck,
why would he back
keep it
out
up,
of it?
Cuck.
Is that what happens? That cucks are so non-manly that their wives end up sleeping with other people? Is that the deal?
Yes.
I don't still understand what it means. What is a cuckold?
A cuckold is a man whose wife is sleeping with another
But
man.
in the animal world, is it a bird or something? Is it like a chicken?
No.
Oh, I thought it was from chicken.
No. No, it's not. Let's see.
It's not chicken based.
No.
What if you're wrong about that?
That would be a cluckhold.
What if you're wrong about that? Will you apologize to me?
Yes, I will.
Okay.
Okay, you look it up. And
I don't want to look it up, but I will.
Okay. John K. Emelianoff. A good thing about 2017 is it's almost over and possibly all the way over by the time you record and upload this episode.
See, this is a guy who's, unlike you, is willing to deal with the fact that certain things are out of order. You're like, pretend it's New Year's Day.
And his resolution is to spiralize more of my thoughts. Josh Mankiewicz retweeted your ad for this week's show.
Oh, cool. Tonight? That I did tonight?
Yes.
Do you know why I did that? And I always said, if I don't make my own retweet, if I don't make my own post,
Right.
You'll be disappointed in me.
Is that what you think?
Well, it's a motivator.
Okay. I'll take it. So yeah, that's about it. It looks like there's other stuff, other comments.
I am
but-
very excited about this year.
Yeah,
I
it should
really
be
am. I wasn't excited about doing the New Year's show so much, but now I am. Now I think we should do all of our shows in advance. Like we're like, hey, happy Arbor Day.
Right.
Happy-
What have you learned since last Arbor Day?
Oh, I hope that we don't go down that road.
Trees are our friends.
That's true.
I wouldn't do Arbor Day. I'd do Tu B'Shvat anyway.
Oh, don't forget, we're gonna have this year. We're gonna have more special shows. Our Tu B'Shvat show, our Shavuot show, our St. Patrick's
Shmini
Day,
Atzeret. Yeah. Well, I think we're.
I think we're in good shape. Now, the only thing that I wish that we would have for the new year is a way to end the show organically. Because I always feel like every week, you first of all, you pitch several ideas about how to end the show.
Right.
You have storyboards.
Yeah.
I think that's odd.
Do you really?
Yeah.
I thought it was just professional.
And you always say, if we don't come up with a good ending, it's why do a podcast?
Right.
And I feel like that you should be able to end it. It shouldn't have to be a big thing. You shouldn't have to be, oh, this is the best ending ever. I don't know why I did this riff. If you want to take that riff out and put in this, you know what, Josh? I finally have come up with a catchphrase for our show. Until next week. And you know it, buddy.
I think this ending should be emblematic of how we should all treat this year and just lower our expectations.
Good.